everybody, it's Joe from JLW Games coming at you with another cool video. We're back in Windland Adventure Resort today, and today we're going to be working on a family raft slide, one of those kind of like big raft slides that you see at a lot of the parks, and it's going to be very family friendly, so it's not going to do anything too crazy, but I wanted to utilize the terrain once again. I think it's really cool to utilize the terrain for these kinds of rides, and yeah, it turned out pretty good. We had no issues with the rafts flying off with the new behaviors, the flume behaviors, since the last update. So it actually turned out really good, and I'm very excited. It's not like a huge ride, very small, like very short layout, nothing too crazy going on there, but we didn't have a whole lot of energy to work with. I wanted it to be kind of level with the terrain up there. So it works pretty well, and for this one, instead of having a run out lane, we will have kind of like, for most of these, I believe we usually have a actual pool that it goes into. So we're going to try and do that. I'm going to do my best to hopefully make it to where guests will not swim in it as they go. So hopefully that won't happen, but we'll have to wait and see. So a few things for this slide itself. Now, I did say we would probably get into the water coasters pretty soon, but that will probably most likely be the next episode. Never quote me on any of that, by the way. It just always kind of depends on you know where I am at in the park, and sometimes I change my mind of what I want to work on next, and this was kind of like that surprise slide that I was like, yeah, I kind of want to put this in here before we get to the water coasters. So that's what I decided to go with here, and I wanted to make this little conveyor belt that leads the rafts all the way back up to the platform, because in real life, if you have like these larger raft rides, they usually have some sort of conveyor belt or lift that takes them back to the top. Because obviously you don't want your guests to tote them all the way up there, like with the other tube slides. In those cases, that you would just grab your tube and go up the stairs. But for this, you're going to have to make some sort of lift system to get those large rafts up there, because they're very heavy, obviously, and I'm sure the employees definitely would appreciate some sort of conveyor belt lift going back up there instead of having to tote them up there themselves. I mean, it would make sense. So the idea is just to have some realism here. I'm by no means any expert when it comes to water parks, so I'm more of a dry park guy, so I know a little bit more about those. So I tried my best here to make the best kind of conveyor belt that I could, kind of lift hill. And after I got a little bit into this, I was like, wait, why don't I just use the River Rapids lift hill that actually has a conveyor belt for visual aspects, for visual purposes? And that's exactly what we're going to be doing here shortly in the time lapse, is we're going to be actually adding a River Rapids lift hill just for show and nothing else. So like, I'm just going to use it just for the lift hill. So you'll see that here shortly. That way we have that visual aspect of that conveyor belt. Now, I don't have really any idea if I want to put any rafts on it as of right now. I don't have any static rafts or rafts that I could potentially put in there as of right now that I know of. There is one way that I just actually thought of in my head right now. Since I do have a mod, I could potentially put the rafts on a replace the River Rapids with the rafts, and it might actually make it look like the rafts. If I could hide it properly, I could make it look like rafts are actually going to the top, if I really wanted to. That's something that we could actually test out. Maybe I might test it off screen and see if it works. If it does work well, we might utilize that. It just means I would have to hide a station underground, potentially, and hide the rest of it as well. So we'll probably test around a little bit with that, but as of right now, we're just going to leave it as is. That way we do have that lift hill visible right there. But yeah, that is how that kind of turns out. I do put a little kind of like a little mesh fence around the top, because I noticed that a lot of these do have some of these. I had some trouble actually finding some reference photos for these kind of lift hills, but I did find at least one and kind of based it a little bit off of that as well. But I wanted to make sure it had a good amount of details, so it kind of looks pretty believable. and at the top of the platform, obviously, we have that fence that we cannot get rid of, unfortunately, but we're just going to have to live with it for right now. And it's pretty well hidden, so you probably won't really notice it or look that much to begin with. I do kind of wish we could toggle the fences on and off on the platforms. We can't even change the color of the fence. It's stuck to that blue, so I hope that's something Frontier really does look into, because we can't change the color. It can't even change the color of that fencing, which I wish we could. And I wish we could toggle it on and off so we could add like our own custom fencing as well. That's something I would definitely like to do, because I do add my own fences to a lot of these, but I have to live with that blue fence being there in the way, unfortunately. So I wanted to do kind of like a more complex roof for this one, and we went with the aquatic roof that has the round pieces, and I was looking for a decent wood piece that actually does have the rounded piece, so we went with the Viking ones and just kind of recolored them to look a little bit more better, or a little bit more to the theme that we want, and they kind of worked pretty well, and that's what we go with right there. And then of course we had to add some of these pillars around, the bamboo pillars. We use those a lot in this build to have that support for that roofing. And then of course we do a fence around it as well. And I made the platform a lot bigger than I thought I would, but you know what? I wanted to make it to where the staircase goes down directly to the ground, so I didn't have to do some weird custom staircase here. I just made a larger platform for this ride, for overall, I think, and I think it works very, very well. So we might add some more details later on, but for right now, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. And I will say, like, water parks just feel like a lot easier to build when it comes to like speed, because like, yeah, you put some details into these platforms and some details, but you don't have to like do like some crazy detailing to make it look pretty decent. And that's, it saves you a lot of time when you're doing like coaster stations. You're doing a lot more, it seems like, with all of that stuff. And with, these slides and flumes, they're actually pretty easy, pretty straightforward, and pretty easy to get in there and build something to look pretty nice, like detail-wise. Because I feel like it didn't take me a crazy amount of time to build this, which is definitely fortunate, because I really want to get to that dry park very soon, and I know you guys want to as well, but we obviously still have some stuff to build here in the water park before we can even think about that. Hopefully it will only take maybe even a few episodes. Maybe, I'm not entirely sure how many more episodes we'll work on, but we are waiting for the restaurant update to build a couple of restaurants that I already have the land prepped. I'm just waiting for those functional restaurants to come into the game. Very, very excited for the April update for Planet Coaster 2, because that's probably what I'm looking forward to the most, is the much better restaurants. They're going to be more like Planet Zoo rather than Planet Coaster 1, which just had you plop down, some boxes and they went in and went out. Now we actually get to make some interiors for our restaurants. They'll use the booths, they'll use the tables, all that fun stuff, and you can connect any of those that you want. And I believe they showed off that you can even connect like the picnic tables as well, so you don't have to use the booths or the tables that it comes with. You can use any of those, so like we're not going to be restrained to using specific ones, but they all are also recolorable. And really, if you wanted to, you could probably use some scenery pieces to decorate them up if you wanted to, if you really wanted to theme like your tables and such, and you wanted your guests to still use them. That's definitely something you could do. Now, I did have to do a little bit of custom supporting here for the flumes, because the pieces that were close to the ground were not generating, so even with it turned on, for some reason. So I just went in, and probably because of how close to the ground it is, but I went in and took care of that myself, which didn't take too long, and ended up being just fine. I did want to add a little bit of rock work and some theming elements just around this ride. We don't have like an official name yet just for this ride just yet, so I haven't done like an entrance sign. Hopefully we'll have an entrance sign by the next episode. And it will be ready to go for our guests to use. I probably should start to do a test, like a guest flow test, to see how well they utilize everything in the park so far. We haven't really done that just yet. I know I need to add some more like restrooms around the park, because we don't have a whole lot of restrooms around the park, and those are fairly important, I would say. Is just because when you gotta go, you gotta go. So, but yeah, I think we did a pretty good job at getting the theming, and like there's not like intensive theming here. It's just more like a lot of tropical stuff and like a lot of palm trees, of course, and stuff. And this is going to be just mainly a family slide, so it's not going to be like your huge main attraction. So, but it's a very good supportive attraction as well. And then going into what kind of water coasters I want to do, I'm thinking about doing a double inner tube water coaster, and then also having like another big raft that will be a water coaster as well. I do kind of maybe want to experiment with those a little bit, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with those because they are probably going to be the main attractions of the park, and I'm probably going to take some inspiration from Holiday World and Splash and Safari because it is one of my favorite water parks out there. I did want to do a little bit of test here as well of putting a little bit of a roof on the queue for the drop slides that we made earlier, and they turned out pretty good, so I think I might add them to the rest of them at some point, but as of right now I wanted to test on this one flight of stairs for now and go from there. I think they turned out pretty solid using like the resort theming and all of that. So this is really starting to come together pretty good, though. We actually have a pretty solid start to, or like a pretty good base for the water park layout. Very, very excited for that. And then of course I kept debating whether I wanted to put my blueprint tipping bucket in or create a new one. I've decided to go ahead and put the blueprint in, and I'm going to make some slight modifications to them. Just kind of like mainly with the slides, because ever since we've had a few updates, they do need to be a little bit updated, and we'll go ahead and test those in the near future, and that way I can get those as functioning as possible. It also gives us some splash pads, so this gives us a nice little family area to go off of, and really just had to try and blend this together with the pathing and make it look like it was meant to be here. So we did make some adjustments and modifications to fit it into the park. And yeah, I just wanted to have more kid slides, and we'll probably add a few other kiddie slides as well. Maybe like another splash area that has a small, like kind of like a small little pool for like very young kids and everything. And it'll have like some mini platforms to use some of the slides there. I think that would be really cool. But to kind of blend these together, I went ahead and made some nice little planters here because the elevation does kind of slightly change on the pathing. And I'm totally fine with that because I do want to try and make sure that not everything is completely flat for realism purposes. I think it helps make your park a little bit more unique and just kind of makes it a little bit more realistic when you don't have completely flat ground. There's going to be some sort of hills and some sort of points where the path is going to change elevation at some point, even if it's just a little bit. And in this case, it's just a little bit, but it is there. So I wanted to make sure I had that. And then we do have some other terrain stuff and that we utilize in here. But for the most part, this park is mostly going to be flat for in general. Like, it's going to have a lot of flat land, but I do want to have different elevations of paths here so often, just in general for those kind of realism purposes and such like that. So yeah, we're gonna have to test out all these rides and make sure they all work with the guests and actual real guests and everything, and do more of those, actually do some of those guest flow tests. I'll probably mainly do those either on a live stream or on off screen, just so I can kind of fully get those kind of tested out, the full extent of those tested. So that way I don't have to take the time to I mean, unless you guys maybe are interested in seeing that, maybe we could do a test in an episode or something. If maybe like I'd probably make it real time, a real time section, and we can test to see how our slides and everything are working overall. So but my plans for the next episode are going to probably be start working on the the water coasters and try and get those going. And then by the time we get those down, hopefully all we really need to do are some of the restaurants when that update comes out on the 22nd. Hopefully it comes out on the 22nd. I think that's what they've been pushing for. So hopefully by maybe in a couple episodes, we'll definitely get those restaurants going, and that'll probably take a full episode to get those restaurants good, because I do want to make some nice interiors and really start to work on my interior work as well. Very, very excited. I might even go into the Joe's barbecue section and actually make that a real restaurant also, so that would also work very, very nicely. So if you haven't if you haven't wondered already, I am definitely excited for that update. I hope we get hotels shortly after as well. I definitely want to see hotels make it back into the game with also a revamp. I'm sure they probably have something planned, but we'll see. I would love to see them get them into the game. I'm sure a lot of people are excited, would definitely agree. And we know we are going to be getting security guards also back into the game as well, so you don't have to worry about your park security again, which is definitely a plus. I mostly want to see more shops and facilities. Like, we need more shops brands. Like, we don't have that many in Planet Coaster 2. As compared to Planet Coaster 1, it is so much less in Planet Coaster 2. So that's really the spot where they're lacking a lot in content, in my opinion, is definitely the shop brands, because I feel like I have to reuse the same ones over and over and over again, which is kind of a pain in the butt, because I don't want to have to do the same 3 or 4, shops every single time. I would like to add some variety to those. So if you're listening, Frontier, that's my biggest thing that I want to see in content next, is more shop brands. Obviously, there's a lot of coaster types I would love to see in the game. And we also know that we're getting the sci-fi theme back here pretty soon as well. They did kind of hint at that, so excited for that. But anyways, we're going to head into the real-time section, guys, and then go from there. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the time-lapse, and let's get into real-time. All right, guys, we are here, and now we're going to go into a little bit of a real-time section here, kind of go over what I did kind of create here. Lots of work still to do, but we're going to go in here into our nameless raft ride, or the big person raft ride, kind of like a family raft ride. And this is going to be kind of just like your generic kind of little bit of large raft that you would have, a lot of families ride, and a lot of parks, water parks do have something like this. And it is nothing too fancy or too big. We just went with something very basic, very simple, and it's not super overly thrilling, so a lot of families can enjoy this as well. I also wanted to make sure I had, like, some, for realism purposes, kind of have like a little conveyor belt lift to get the large rafts back up, because rides like this usually have typically some sort of lift of some sort to get the rafts back up to the platform, because obviously these rafts are too big for the guests to take them up themselves. Because other rides like, say, Eruption, you can, I probably need to put a section for it so they can have their rafts, but like you can take these tubes up with you and you just take them up there to the top with you, so you don't actually have or need for a lift like that. And then of course body slides, you don't need one because obviously there's no rafts, and so on and so forth. But this one was the case where we do need something like that, so we did go ahead and place something like that. And of course I made a little bit of a neat little cover here. There's no way to get rid of this fencing, so we are going to have to deal with this fencing just kind of being here. Maybe it can be like some sort of gate that opens and closes when the rafts get up there. I'm not sure, but we did use the water ride, the River Rapids ride, conveyor belt lift, in order to get the effect of an actual functioning, to make it look like an actual functioning lift. Actually, I need to delete the piece, random extra piece there. There we go. So you can see that visually, that there is a raft lift going up there. So it looks really, really nice. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out for not knowing or not exactly ever creating something like this before. I think it turned out fairly decent and it looks pretty solid. So yeah, Yeah, we also put in our little tipping bucket. I'm thinking about making a few adjustments here and there. This is the one that I built a long time ago. I built this blueprint at one point, so I did create this blueprint. So yes, I did use a blueprint again, but this time once again it is my creation that I've already built myself, so I don't feel too guilty using stuff that is, you know, mine. But I am thinking about altering it a little bit because it has lost a little bit of its functionality ever since some of the updates, so we're going to try and make it a little bit better as we go along here. So yeah, it has 2 slides here, 2 smaller slides for kids, and we do want to maybe try and make sure that these make sense in the long run. So we'll go into some, once we get into some like testing and see how the guests behave with it, we'll go along with that. But as of right now, we plopped it in there because I needed more family attractions, and that's why we went with the large raft ride here, which is going to be very family oriented. And then of course we have the tipping bucket here with a couple of splash pads that is also going to be family oriented as well. So, and then of course you have the wave pool, which is for everyone as also. So there's a lot of stuff for the families to do, but we also have some more thrilling rides as well. The eruption slides are fairly tame as well. So that way there are a lot of stuff to do for families. And of course I always consider the mad slides also to be kind of like a family type of attraction as well. And then of course we have the Viking slide that we did, which does have some more thrilling slides, if you ask me, with like the steep slide and this one with the airtime hill kind of, and then of course this one as well. It's kind of a medium thrill, and then of course the drop slides are also there. But we did start a little bit on creating a little bit of a roof for this hike up to the drop slides. I'm thinking about doing this for the rest of the path. I wanted to kind of get a spot done to kind of see how it would look like, to see if it's something that I want to continue to do as well. I really want to fill in this area, but I'm still waiting for the restaurants. I could potentially get the building started at least, and then we can add the restaurant features in later, potentially, because this is just so open. Same with over here, but these are the 2 spots I'm waiting for the next update, which should hopefully be I think they said they wanted to shoot for April 22nd, so we'll see if the update comes out then, but I'm going to assume it's going to be somewhere around that time frame. I'm very excited to get those in there so we can fill these gaps in. Once those updates come out, we'll of course get these restaurants worked on before we go too much further. So yeah, the water park is definitely coming along overall. We are going to push further this way. We still have plenty of space to work with however much we want to do. I'm thinking about leaving some expansion plots as well, so we have plenty of room for expansion in the future. So that way, you know, if we do want to expand the park and add more attractions and stuff like that, we are going to do that, because I would love to do kind of like a story theme line kind of, you know, eventually with this park. This whole resort to where, you know, it gets new additions every so often. So yeah, that water park looking really, really good. I'm really excited. I can't wait to get these gaps filled in though. That way we can take care of those and they can be really, really nice. Get those restaurants in and more buildings overall as well. We still have a little bit to do here and fill in. I haven't really decided exactly what I want to do here. I'm thinking about doing another like quick service of some sort, maybe a gift shop of some sort potentially. I'm not entirely sure, but just get some more shops in there and more buildings, because we are lacking quite a bit on buildings in general with the water park so far. So I'm thinking about getting more stuff in there. So we might even put some more bathrooms around potentially. Make sure we have plenty of bathrooms in here as well, because I probably could put a bathroom somewhere over on this side of the park, which we haven't really developed too far into yet. But we're going to look forward and pushing forward here. I did get a comment saying that I should have like a big family raft slide. And that was something that I was like, just kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then of course we're going to have a couple of water coasters here in the back, which will be the last 2 major attractions I think that we have to get in here. And then we'll pretty much be done with the attractions that are going to be in the water park, at least for now. and then we can eventually get into the dry park. I know you guys are excited for that. I've been hyping it up each and every episode, and I can't wait to get into that dry park. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of different types of water coasters. I think the first one, or one of them, we're going to have like a double inner tube. We don't really have the exact thing that I want to be able to do, and I think the double inner tube is going to be the closest. You see like a lot of water coasters have like the one where you're kind of stacked behind each other, those tubes that it would be really cool if we got that eventually. But for right now, we're just gonna have to go with the double tubes. And then I was also thinking about doing a large raft one as well, kind of like Mammoth at Holiday World, which is one of my favorite water slides out there, one of my favorite flumes, which is also a water coaster. So has some really cool, unique pieces there, and it would give us a good variety of. It would make the two water coasters pretty different from each other. But I think I'm definitely going to go kind of based off of those Holiday World slides, because that is probably my favorite water park there is. So I definitely want to take a little inspiration from that as well. And those two rides are going to be back here in the back, and they're going to be probably our most thrilling attractions, along with everything else. So yeah, we're going to have kind of like our family stuff kind of right here in the middle. Kind of in between stuff seems to be a little bit front, and then of course we're gonna have these thrilling slides back here in the back, and it'll be fantastic. So very excited to see where we go from there. I know this wasn't like a huge update for this episode, like we didn't get a ton done, but we did get, I mean, for the most part, get this raft slide done. We just have to add some details here and there, like an entrance sign and different things like that, and just kind of connecting the pieces together with the rest of the water park. So, and just kind of filling in these little spots, you know, and really getting some closure on that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe for more amazing content like this. And if you want to see these episodes early, be sure to become a channel member if you want to support me further, and you can get access to these videos a little bit early. I wish I could do a lot more content, but I'm still trying at least to get a video out each week for you guys. That way you have something on the channel each week, you know, and hopefully we can develop or produce some more content moving forward. But appreciate you guys being here nonetheless, and I'll see you guys next time. So thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, and cooler tomorrow, and goodbye.